Frogman Friday.
Yeah, boy. What's up, guys? It's that time again. Welcome to the Frogman Friday Show. Presented by Transcend, the best peptide and hormone therapy. They put your health first so you can live more and worry less. Go to transcendcompany.com/Birdman to begin your wellness transformation today. Today, our badass guest is Derek, aka D-Rock. He served a career in special operations and founded FireIce Frogs Corp. in 2023 in Chesapeake, Virginia. You can catch him on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And to take a deeper dive, go check out FireIceFrogs.org. Brother, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, man. I want to jump right into it with human performance. Like, what you do is super cool between the contrast therapy, sauna, cold plunge. Have you always been a guy who's into human performance, or is this something that just you stumbled upon recently?
Well, I mean, I definitely think I had a liking to it. I mean, when we're all young and dumb, you really have no idea what it is. And then you kind of see the smarter people than you, or a lot of the staff that we had around that show you the benefits, especially when, guys start to fall like flat on their face, or all the aches and pains and boo-boos and owies come up, and you're able to get, sent to the garage and rebuilt, if you will. And then you really see the benefit of it. I mean, they can take years of pain away, by going at it some holistic means. That was really when it started happening. And ever since then, it just built and built and built over time. With just a huge fascination for it, like where's the limit here and what can we do with it? Especially when it's all in that like non-pharmaceutical realm. So.
Yeah. Well, I was told when I was going through training that don't do cold showers because they're super cold and they don't benefit you at all. And then getting into the ocean in San Diego, it was, 50 to 60 degrees and that was cold. And we never looked at it as human performance back then. And then recently with Wim Hof and all this stuff coming out, now people are really getting into this therapy and you truly feel the benefits. And that's something that I became addicted to, is specifically cold plunging and the benefits of it and how you feel afterwards. So walk me through the process of how you started this organization. What was the initial goal?
So started with some incredible humans that surround me. I like to say that I like to walk with giants. So everybody along the way has helped me get there. But it was out of kind of just chance originally, where in short, it was just hanging out with some buddies, and we were getting ready for a short road trip, and one of us was tired. So he said, hey, get in the cold tub, it's going to wake you up. And then the team guy competition kicked in, where I got in, so then the next guy had to get in, and the next guy had to get in. Some kind of life change after that, which we didn't really realize, until months later. Tragedy still struck, and some guys were killing themselves still, and Mike Dave being the last one, like the big catalyst to this. So a buddy and co-founder, Josh Cox, he walked into work the next day and I was like, dude, we gotta do something about it. I have this idea, and we looked back at what had happened since, this one day, all of us jumping in together, and realized the true effect it had on us. And it wasn't that, individually any one guy was doing a cold tub or a sauna. It was that we knew like friends were doing it, family was doing it, your kids are doing it, as my kids are harder than yours, are staying in longer, and so on and so forth. But it was this kind of like community and fellowship that happened. Shared suffering, if you will, but doing things together was the really make or break, or the thing that kind of changed it. I mean, thousands of years ago, we know this stuff worked, and Wim Hof and Andrew Huberman and Gary Brecker and all these guys are bringing it back in a more scientific sense. But thousands of years ago, it was a hot cave in cold water, and if you're a warrior, you do it before and after battle. And that was way out east, but it's made its way to us, and we understand it a little bit more and see the benefits. And we found that doing it as kind of a community, that was the icing on the cake, or that was the differentiator, if you will, that really helped with this idea. And then furthermore, we started to learn about nonprofits. We started to meet some incredible people that could, initially kind of financially support and kick us off. And we realize like that healing is a gift, and a gift we want to provide, at no cost to the applicant or beneficiary. So, just by raising funds and donations, we've got this thing rolling, and that's how we operate, and as intentional as possible. So
That's legit, man. FireIce Frogs. So you have applicants. How does this all work when somebody goes to your website? Because you serve the special operations community. So somebody goes to your website and they apply for a grant, if you will, of one or the other or both, or how does that work?
yeah, it was, so we serve the special operations veterans in the Gold Star community. Excuse me. And originally it was just an application that hung on the website, but the demand was so high and there was such an influx of applicants that instead of that queue building up tremendously and guys kind of, or gals feeling like left out, like, hey, where am I at in this? What's going on? We paused those a couple months ago, really to focus on raising funds and to, put more attention on being so small staff. There's only a few of us, but really put some time into the installs. When we open it back up, it's just going to be right there on the website again, where people just go on and they just fill out an application, and we remove bias from it and identifiable information, and it goes through a process. Some of which, since we're kind of talking to the listeners, if you will, some of which makes a delay or takes so much time is the intentionality, like I said, behind it. So we don't just send a cold tub or a sauna to somebody's home. Everything's a hand deliver, hand install, in honor of a fallen service member that they get to choose, right? So we do a dedication ceremony and give them a plaque and everything. Bring a care package of other, Navy SEAL owned and operated companies. That is all their token of, hey brother, you're not, or ma'am, you're not forgotten. These are all the people that love and care about you still. So with that, knowing that we're not going to, bend, on the quality or depth to the provisional side, it just takes us a little bit of time.
Sure. Is it a package where you install at the same time, both hot and cold, or is it one or the other? How's that work?
Right now, with how high the demand is and with, limited funds to an extent, it's just, hey, pick which one you need the most right now. We can get them fairly similar in cost, so it's not like, the subjectivity comes in and like, I want the more expensive one. We kind of, it's really at cost, and most are really, really honest. I mean, I'd say all have been honest on what they really need. So they just pick one or the other, and, we schedule it and move on.
That's amazing. And you do this around the country?
Yeah, it's nationwide as much as we can do. Some of obviously the further away, it takes a little bit of time, a little bit more logistic planning. Because it's not just one of us. Chris Kerr, the COO, who's running the provisional side and some of those programs. We have a few programs, but so he just gets a team and we figure out when we can make do. We also try and time it where we can do a couple at once, so we're not burning through money. But that's really it. That's the process there.
Amazing. When you went to set forward on this, did you know that there were specific companies you wanted to work with for both hot and cold, or do you work with multiple?
No, we did not know. We had actually one just random because I think a guy wanted a barrel sauna. And we looked at a company because it just looked cool. And we had this idea that it'd be like men doing men things. When we were really in the infancy stages, it was like, I'll be men doing men things. We're going to build things. And in this, it's a safe place where, we're of similar backgrounds and histories. So it's like we can talk and we speak the same language and we get it. And we did have an idea with it, but as it was, we just had some people step forward. Mod Tub being one on the cold tub side. And then the two sauna companies are actually SEAL owned and operated as well. We're working with Heavenly Heat Saunas and Brady over at Hotbox Sauna. We have some partnerships there. So that's how that played out. And it just happened to work within the tribe, which we appreciate.
That's awesome. Sure. Tell us a story about, one of your first, initial deliveries. What did it mean to you and what was it like?
I wasn't expecting that. It was a Gold Star spouse, and it was one of the most moving moments, especially in, our mission here. But it was one of those moving days and moving moments that I think all of us there had experienced, aside from obviously sitting in a memorial, and going through the slideshows and seeing the pictures and the videos. I mean, nothing is more moving than that moment. But that aside, being there, the Gold Star spouse was the first one we did. I just don't want to say who, I haven't spoke to her about it, but
Sure.
Anyway, we go to do that, and we're figuring out kind of how we do things at the same time. And she was very gracious and forgiving, though I think all of that was really transparent to her. But we kind of go through the whole process, and guys are figuring out, like, what do we do with our emotions right now? Like, there's a lot here. Because guys knew the guy who passed away. We were sharing stories and things, and it came to the moment she kind of turned to all of us, and she's like, you have no idea how long it's been or how much it means to me just to have your presence in my home. Like, we carry, the same way you walk through an airport, you're like, that's a team guy.
Yeah.
I know it. Right. Or you go anywhere. It's just the way we carry ourselves and how we operate and how we do things and how we think. But then I think it's such a specific detail, just like your presence in my home. Like, I've missed this. And, dude, everyone was shook. They were like, from that point on, as if we weren't already all in, it was like, this is it. This is the divine path. This is purpose. We are doing something right, something that matters, something that's going to have an impact, and we will never waver our intentionality. That was the first one. And that was, it was good in all the best ways it could be.
Man, well, it's legit, but doing things for other people, you're going to be on the right course. And to start out with a Gold Star wife, and give her something, but like you said, just the things that we don't think about on a daily basis. Like I said, when doing this show, I get to talk with a brother every week, and that it fills me up. But to think about it from a Gold Star's perspective, that goes away when somebody passes. I just got an email from one of my teammates who passed, wife. She says, we don't see the guys as much anymore. So That is awesome. I can believe it, man. After that, just everybody being full send. That's awesome. Yeah. So you're a 501c3 charity, which is awesome. You get to help people. People get to donate to you. So where are some of your limitations? What do you need help with? What do we need to know that we don't know?
Quite a few limitations as we're just figuring out how to do things. And it's a steep learning curve, especially when, everyone's so reluctant to either not waver on quality or intentionality or what have you. Learning how to do things we've never done in our entire life. Right out to Jump Street, whether we try to ignore it as long as possible or not, because it's like, hey, it's not money. Like, money's not real. It's other things. For sure, it takes money to do this. And it's hard to, let alone ask for help. But then you're asking people for their hard-earned cash as well. Even though it's selfless reasons. Money is first and foremost, like, the biggest struggle. With it, and everything is kind of a chicken or the egg in a sense. Like, I got to do things to have a story to tell, to then, raise funds. But without it, we can't do the installs. We don't pay anybody. Everybody's a volunteer, on the organization, just to really optimize how much we can, how far we can stretch that dollar. But that being said, aside from the money aspect, it's storytelling, it's expanding, it's growth, again, with how high the demand is. I think we were well over 300 applications, fairly quick. Yeah. Which is a few millions of dollars to, just to get back to zero, just to start over, which, you wouldn't start over. There's such a byproduct of it, in the storytelling and the validity of those hearing about us. But you're like, wow, this is a lot. And anyway, the storytelling alongside of that is difficult. But then the expansion and the growth to match the demand, building out the staff, delegating responsibilities and things that we can do amongst each other instead of wearing, 20 hats. Those have been some of the struggles. There's a small one of finding the right people, like especially when you have some folks that just, I think most mean well. Most have definitely been very supportive, gigantic hearts, really show their true colors. But when you're like, hey, I can't guarantee any money, the only thing I can guarantee is purpose and fulfillment. I think most really get on board with that, but it's just at what point does it kind of wear out or drain? How long does that last? So I think finding those right people has been another kind of small challenge.
Are you looking for volunteerism within your installs?
Yeah, so long as to not like air out too much like personal information. We have done a good job to find those who kind of know the individual a little bit more. I mean, like we all know each other. It's like one phone call away. If I don't know the guy, you're going to know the guy. But yeah, we do. So like we're starting to reach out into the other regions or other parts of the U.S. fairly quick, coming up shortly, and to have some form of like, a fob or teams to do it, or, kind of the guys that just focus on the provisional side and expand and knowing it, at the smallest detail on how our process works. We are in the works of doing that. I think that's probably the best way of like grassroots style, mentor or professionally develop those amongst the staff to then go up to like a higher position as we, grow. So.
Got it. Okay. As far as the installs around the country, I mean, are you shipping the product to the house and then meeting the product at the house to install? Or are you driving?
Yeah, we've definitely done both. We have had a few more road trips than we have had flights trying to bring costs down.
Okay.
We are able at times to piggyback off of the manufacturer shipping. It still costs everything, costs us money, but we've been able to piggyback, and then it's just a timing, like, hey, let's show up around this window, or like, just so weird, but like, hey, please don't open it for, 2 days until we get there.
Yeah.
So we're working the timing. That's where we're trying to get these kind of like region or fob leaders, if you will, a term everybody else is using, but they can kind of just hard point that, and manage it amongst their region is probably the best. In the meantime, yeah, we just got a trailer built a few months ago and just load the thing up and rock and roll and go knock out some installs.
Okay. That's legit. You talked about letting the family, name a person or name that person that they wanted to honor. Talk about that a little bit.
That was, I was speaking with a good buddy of mine, as we were kind of figuring out the process and intentionality. We hadn't really done anything yet. And we were sharing the beliefs of 2 deaths. Like everyone has 2 deaths. The first is the physical, when you lose your life. And the second is the last time anyone speaks your name, which we all understand very intimately.
Yeah.
Aside from having, things that scientifically show to work, and the confidence of us being like, oh, I'll defer both those deaths. I obviously just hope to. We're like, this is what we can do to defer the second death. Like we'll do a dedication ceremony and a plaque on every kit, every tub, every sauna installed. And that way they see those names and you share those stories, because again, there's, families getting in, spouses, friends and buddies and neighbors and everybody getting in there. And it's just that chance to see that name, tell that story, unless we forget. Right. And additionally, knowing, I don't know what to say, it's like sadistic, but being intentional, like, with ourselves, that there comes a point, 4 a.m. in January, no matter where you're at, where you question, do I really want to get in this tub, this cold water, this thing we were tortured with years ago. But then you see the name on the plaque and you realize you still have plenty of life to live. And then heavy as a crown, and they take that plunge, no pun intended. But they continue to serve and remember, and move forward not succumb or be a victim to, by all means, the tolls of being a warrior or war. So there's a lot to it, but that's kind of how it came to be.
All right. Number one question, hot or cold for you?
I think because of how significant the cold tub, that the dopamine hit, the reduction in inflammation, I'm alive, I feel 10, 20 years younger. I think the extreme of that, cold tub. Though we know, like, in an oversimplification, there's like some similarity or language with the brain where cold, and a very oversimplification, and I'm not the doctor, I can't speak to it, but they understand that cold is associated with kind of death and warmth is life. So when we speak to the modalities, hot and cold contrast therapies, it's a lot of the warming or the rewarming that's healing in life. So though it may be the cold tub, when you get out and the body's rewarming and realizing it didn't die, that's where I think that dopamine hit lasts longer, and we want the good vices, not the bad. So yeah, personal preference on that one, as well as, so my buddy Charlie Murphy, he was the guy's house we were at when we did the cold tub. So he was kind of there for the inception of this. He is retired and spoke of, like why he does a cold tub. And this works. I mean, this is accurate and it's synonymous with probably all of us. So I'll speak to it. But he's like, yeah, I do it every morning or when I do it in the mornings, depending on his schedule. He's like, I do something hard every morning to remind myself just exactly who I am and what I'm capable of. So, that being said, I'd like to do that right out the get-go is, I find that to be the best way to kickstart your day, vice the 4 a.m. watch thing, not that style. So,
yeah, that's funny. So, when this started to become, more familiar within the public eye, I was working on a massive project called the Human Performance Project.
I remember that.
And so I was getting religiously into this. Well, the first time that I had been around, so I had done plenty of, sauna therapy, and I was like, I love this stuff. My wife can go way hotter than me. I guess women can go hotter than men, or at least women seem to like hotter more than men. But for some reason, I get in there and I'm just like dying. I'm born in Michigan. I'm a snow guy, so like I like cold more so than hot. But she's in there and I'm tanking out, asking for an IV, and I'm dying. Well, so I get introduced to the cold plunge, and it was at this place called Sweat House, which they're starting to pop up around the country.
Oh, yeah.
And so we did a partnership, and I get there and I see this thing. And I'm like, okay, here's the tank, no big deal. And they're like, go ahead, touch it first just to see what it's like. And I'm like, no, I don't need to play that game. Like, I'm just going to get in. Everything's going to be fine. I can handle it. And I get my feet in there, and I'm like, I don't know how anybody gets in here. Are you serious right now? And they're like, just get in. And I got in, and I was like, this is awful. And I failed miserably on that one. And so what it started to do is like, okay, there's got to be a process to this. Like, I got to figure out what is it going to be, the mantra that's going to get me to do this. And I did some breath work to get into it, and I stayed in for 3 minutes, and I got out, and just the energy that came through my body that just stayed. It was like, it became my drug, right? This was my natural drug. And I was like, oh, so good. So I love what you're doing on many levels. I love that you're honoring Gold Star families. I love that you're supporting the brotherhood, and taking care of guys that need help, that want to prolong their life and do, human performance, real longevity things. And then, just promoting this stuff and doing it all for free too. I mean, I know that I've run charities before. We've had to have staff and to do everything pro bono and to coordinate and do all this stuff. It's like, you're not just sitting around with tons of free time. So there's a lot that goes into that as well. And I super commend you for it. So I'll be the one to ask right out of the gate. So everybody that's listening right now, you've just heard this the first time. There's a new dynamic of a charity which does specific hot and cold contrast therapy, donating these units to Gold Star families and special operations community members. If you can find it in your hearts to support and donate, go to FireIceFrogs.org and make the donation. No size is too big. So the bigger we can get, the more zeros behind it would be awesome. But go and support the boys as they continue to knock this out of the park, because with a waiting list of 300 people, they're going to need some help. If you ever have needs outside of fundraising, continue to send them our way and we'll push them out to people.
Yeah,
and we're going to help you as well. We have many means to do that, so we're going to push this out as well.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah, we definitely need it. You're right. And thank you for asking. We do have a hard time asking ourselves. So thank you for that. I do inspire and ton of admiration for those that are willing to do it. In my eyes, I say they're the heroes to our nation's heroes. Those that can support. So I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, man, for sure. Well, I'm going to flip the script on you real quick, and I'm going to ask a quintessential question to you personally is, who is your hero and why?
Still finding them, man. Still finding them. I think, like most of us that are kind of natural wanderers, always out there on a journey, seeking and finding. I think the greatest superpower is to master oneself, right? So that I don't know. I can't say that I've had one hero. I'm man of faith, so God's always been there. Though I've for sure taken a step left or right. For the rest of them, us mortals, in moments I've had people I've been able to turn to. They're in the close circle, depending on what it is. They've always been there. They've been heroes, whether it was a moment or a lifetime thus far. So can't say I narrow it down to one.
Check. Yeah, it's hard. It always throws everybody else off. And what I've been finding lately is a lot of guys have been going back to grandparents or childhood stuff, which has been cool just to hear that personal side, what drives people. But you're right. In the special operations community, like you said, you try to surround yourself with giants. You walk around giants. I was one of those guys who was there at the end of Hell Week, and I'm like, what the hell am I still doing here? Like, why me? And just even so to this day, I make this joke all the time with some of the brothers on the West Coast. And I'm like, what's so funny is I would be in the teams and I would be, on my second or third pump, and I'd still be looking around at guys being like, holy shit, that's a Navy SEAL right there. That's how stoked I was. And, it's like you never lose that excitement. Because
it's that imposter syndrome too, man.
Yeah.
Like surrounded by the greatest humans that walk the planet. The most impressive, most driven, self-educated, self-succeeded men. Or self-succeeding men. Take no as an answer. They can't take no as an answer. Always find a way around. In the great senses. We're not talking about too much of cowboys out there, but it's you're surrounded by giants, and you're like, wow, this is impressive.
Yeah, man. Rock and roll, dude. We're going to blast you out. Everybody go check out FireIceFrogs.org. This is D-Rock, the founder. Make sure to make a contribution when you stop by, or make several. And keep spreading the word. Make sure to like their channels on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And spread the word that they exist, because you may be in the position someday to help a friend who needs their services. So let's get started today and promote them. So thanks for your time, brother.
Brother, appreciate it. Thank you, man.
Always.
Frogman Friday. Long live the brotherhood.